For decades, the image was simple: a British couple, newly retired, a small villa somewhere warm, a slower life under a reliable sun. That story still exists, but in 2026, it is no longer the whole picture. The profile of Brits moving to Spain has changed. Not dramatically, not loudly, but structurally. This is no longer just retirement in the sun. It's remote income, hybrid careers, families recalculating education, healthcare, cost of living. It's people leaving the UK not to stop working, but to redesign how they live. And here's what's changed, because this is where the old narrative starts to break. Before 2016, the decision was simpler. Freedom of movement reduced friction. Property in many coastal areas felt undeniably affordable. The pound carried more weight. The model was clear: finish working, relocate, settle into an established British enclave, enjoy the climate, simplify life. Post-Brexit Spain requires intention, visas, income thresholds, private healthcare during transitional phases, tax planning across jurisdictions, documentation that must be correct the first time. The move is no longer casual, it's deliberate. And that shift has quietly reshaped where people go and why. Take the Costa Blanca, Alicante, Torrevieja, the long-established corridor of British retirement. The profile here is familiar, often retirees, sometimes early retirees in their late 50s. Couples with defined benefit pensions or stable savings, people who want predictability more than reinvention. The motivation makes sense. Property prices remain comparatively accessible. Urbanizations are structured around community. English-speaking doctors, legal advisors, social clubs, supermarkets that stock British brands, neighbors who have made the same decision. You can land there and function almost immediately. Picture a retired couple in Torrevieja. They've been there 8 years. They play bowls twice a week. They know which cafe serves the best Sunday roast. They've learned enough Spanish for pleasantries. But they've never truly needed it. Their life works. It's stable. It's social. It's warm. That is not failure. That is alignment. But there is a trade-off. The deeper you embed yourself in an English-speaking enclave, the less Spain you may experience beyond the surface. Cultural integration becomes optional. Local politics, local frustrations, local nuance, all of it can remain distant. The reward is ease. The trade-off is depth. Now move south. The Costa del Sol, Malaga, Marbella, the expanding belt between them, presents a more layered picture. Yes, retirees are here. But they now share space with remote professionals, online entrepreneurs, executives managing UK or international clients from Spanish soil. The infrastructure supports this shift. Strong international connectivity, reliable internet, international schools, private healthcare networks, direct flights linking Malaga with major UK cities year-round. The motivation here is flexibility. Imagine a 32-year-old consultant on a terrace in Malaga City, laptop open, morning call with London at 9, coffee in hand, beach 15 minutes away, income not tied to local salaries, networks spread across countries. For this profile, Spain is not retirement. It is optimization. You gain energy, international density, access, the feeling that you are plugged into something broader than a quiet coastal enclave. But this is where things get interesting. The Costa del Sol is no longer a budget alternative. Housing prices have risen sharply. In some areas, the idea of cheap Spain is fading. In others, it has already disappeared. Competition for rentals is real. Purchase prices reflect global demand, and lifestyle expectations often scale with income. International schooling, private healthcare, frequent travel. The reward is dynamism. The trade-off is financial pressure. Shift again. Valencia represents a different psychology. Here, the profile skews younger. Remote employees with stable contracts, young families, professionals who could live in an expat-heavy zone, but choose not to. Valencia offers balance, large enough to feel culturally alive, compact enough to navigate without a car. Beaches, yes, but also residential neighborhoods where Spanish is the default language of daily life. Picture a British family enrolling their child in a public school in Valencia. The first months are uncomfortable. Parent-teacher meetings in Spanish, forms that require translation, cultural differences in classroom dynamics. But slowly, routines form. Friendships develop. The language barrier softens. Integration here is not automatic. It is earned. This is the part many people overlook. Outside the established British coastal enclaves, English is not a safety net. Bureaucracy can feel opaque. Social integration requires vulnerability. You will make mistakes, but the reward is depth. The trade-off is comfort. And if you're watching this, you probably care less about sunshine statistics and more about how real people actually live. Because the real shift in 2026 isn't geographic, it's psychological. Some movers still prioritize climate above almost everything else. For them, the Balearic or Canary Islands exert a powerful pull. Mallorca, Tenerife, Gran Canaria. The profile here is often lifestyle-driven. Creatives, remote founders, high earners, individuals who place daily environment at the center of their decision-making. The motivation is clarity, ocean access, temperature stability, physical separation from mainland intensity, the feeling of living somewhere people save up to visit. But island life has arithmetic, higher property prices, limited supply, seasonal economies. In certain areas, tension around over-tourism and foreign ownership. Flights that connect, but not as seamlessly as mainland hubs. The reward is intensity of environment. The trade-off is constraint. And this changes the decision entirely. Because the narrative many people still carry, that Spain is simply a cheaper, sunnier extension of Britain, no longer holds in the same way. Post-Brexit bureaucracy is real. Residency pathways require documented income. Non-lucrative visas demand financial proof. digital nomad routes come with conditions. Healthcare planning cannot be improvised. Rental markets in high-demand areas are tight. Property prices in coastal hotspots reflect global interest, not just British demand. None of this makes relocation unwise, but it does remove illusion. It forces strategy. But step back for a moment. So, what are we really seeing? Before 2016, British migration to Spain was heavily retirement-driven. The move often marked the closing chapter of a career. In 2026, relocation is increasingly multi-stage. People move in their 30s, in their 40s, with children, with remote contracts, with businesses registered in one country and operated from another. The question has shifted. It is no longer just, where is it sunny and affordable? It is, where does my life structure function best? Costa Blanca answers that question with familiarity. Costa del Sol answers it with connectivity. Valencia answers it with integration potential. The islands answer it with environmental priority. Each region allows a different relationship with Spain. In some places, you can live largely in English, socially buffered and culturally adjacent. In others, you will be gently or firmly pulled into Spanish systems, Spanish language, Spanish rhythms. And underneath every spreadsheet calculation, cost of living, healthcare, schooling, taxation, sits a quieter decision. How much change are you actually seeking? Some people want continuity with better weather. Some want reinvention with friction included. Neither is superior, but they are not the same. Brits moving to Spain in 2026 are not simply choosing places on a map. They are choosing degrees of integration. They are choosing exposure versus insulation. They are choosing whether Spain becomes a backdrop or a teacher. Because Spain is not one uniform experience. It is multiple parallel versions of itself. Some offer familiarity wrapped in sunlight. Some demand adaptation in exchange for belonging. And when you decide to move, you are not just selecting a region. You are selecting the version of Spain and the version of yourself that you are ready to live with.